And the U.S. experiencing record low numbers of first-time home buyers as prices remain stubbornly high. Many Americans are struggling to purchase homes. Last year, there were just over 1 million first-time home buyers. That's down a quarter, 25% from 2023, roughly half the historical average. Now, the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, Bill Pulte, is working on a fix. Americans will be able to use their rent payment history to help qualify for a mortgage. Larry, I got to come to you first because I find that anytime the federal government gets involved in trying to make housing more affordable with new rules, it turns out badly. What do you think of this?
I hope Bill Pulte, he's a smart guy, but I hope he and his group look at this very carefully because, like you, I don't like to see. I mean, the problem, housing's been in a recession for several years. We know that. Problem has been that inflation is faster than their income gains, all right? Prices rise faster than wages. That's been the problem. Now, that's changed in the past several months, and wages are rising faster than prices. That kind of real income is the solution to being able to buy a home.
Right.
Very important. That's the real solution. It's not all interest rates and other bells and whistles. It's the income factor. If a lender sees your history and what you're making, right, they'll help you. They'll help you. But the lender will do it, and the lender will take the risk. Not Fannie, not Freddie. I don't want to go through that again. I know Pulte is he's trying to be helpful, and of course President Trump wants interest rates down. If the Fed lowers rates, the chances are good that the mortgage rates will come down a point or so. Yes, I think that's true. That'll help, sure. But essentially, you got to have people making more money, and you got to have prices stable.
We've got 6.67% on the 30-year fixed. It's down for the week, down year over year. Brian, what do you say to federal intervention in the housing market?
Well, I hate federal intervention in the housing market, but I agree with Larry's point. If you go back to 2021, if you wanted to buy a median-priced home, you needed an income of $79,000. Today, you need an income of $127,000. Your income has not risen fast enough to keep up with that. You know, we talk about interest rates. I just want to make a point on this. It's not that mortgage interest rates right now are so egregiously high that no one could afford it, because there are a lot of people who say, I've paid higher interest rates in the past, and I agree with that.
Yeah, my parents were 17%.
Totally, but what I just want to point out, the problem was this disparity that was created the last 4 years between the 3% folks and the kind of the 7% land we're in now. You do have to bring interest rates down a little bit to deal with that temporary problem. I'm not saying it's the total solution, but there is an interest rate arbitrage issue right now in our market that if you don't deal with, you're not going to free it up.
There's that, but there's also high prices. Typically, when rates go up, the prices are supposed to come down. The prices really never went down. I think still because we've got a nation that looks at their home to a certain degree as their piggy bank, and people aren't willing to lower those prices. They might have a lower mortgage. They might not need to move, and that's what's kind of caused this muddy market where nobody is transacting as much. I don't think government getting involved is the way to do it.
By the way, you should, you know, deregulation at the state and local level would go a long way. Zoning laws, which
more supply,
put more supply. Look, we can build fairly cheap homes. The technology is there, but the land is not there. They just stop you from doing it. So, you know, these big urban areas and suburban areas, we don't have enough time to go into the left-wing socialist ideas behind them. But basically, the people running these municipal governments, right, they don't want you to build a home. They don't want you to drive a car. You know, the whole story. There's worry about climate change and all this stuff. If you put more houses on the market, prices will go down.
That's why Burgum's talking about freeing up federal land.
Oh, yes.
The feds own a lot of land.
I have questions about that, too.
But we're not going to live in the middle of the Gulf of America.
Right.
We have to, it's like New York City.
boats.
We don't have a lot of federal land in Westchester County.
No.
I'm just saying. Anyway, I've made my point.
All right. Well, that was fun. Larry Kudlow, such a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.
Always so good to see you.